everyone. Thank you for being with us this evening. We're going to invite the Reverend Summer Albayati to open with some drumming. I just want to let folks know that we'll be inviting you to engage in the chat. And thank you for all those who have shared your introductions. And Summer, I will turn it over to you.
Hello, I am Mitra Ranama, and it is a solemn honor to call us together. So welcome first, each and all. It's good that you're here, pausing our regular ongoings, logging on, streaming our energy together in order to vigil. You have arrived, each in your own space, from around the world, to hold vigil for people who are in this moment, hoping to survive another day against all odds. Vigil means we humble ourselves, we be present, we breathe deeply, and we focus our power and prayer for a complete ceasefire. Let us do so together. I invite Chris Rivera to share some opening words.
Bienvenidos, welcome, beloveds. We are honored that you gather here. We are honored to be together today. The title for this vigil is For Those Who Hope to Survive the Night. We know that survival is at the very least of what we are hoping for at this moment. We wish for the Palestinian people to not just survive, but to thrive, for all peoples to survive and thrive. But we know, beloveds, that when people are under attack, when people are oppressed to the point of fighting for their freedom, for their very lives, that we are called to witness that. We are called to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves, for a media blackout that would try and silence them. We are called to witness for those who would like, who we need to survive the night. We know in the night, in the shadows, that is when we rest, when we heal, when we gain the energy for the next day. Night should not be a terror moment. It should not be the moment in which we don't know if we will see the light. It is the moment that we gather, that we get warmth of one another. And so in this gathering, I invite you to be how you need to be in order to show up for this vigil, standing, sitting, shouting, meditating, stimming, whatever it is that you need in order to reach the holy, in order to humble ourselves to be together in this time, in this place, as we gather to name those who are known and unknown around the world, those who are seeking freedom and those whom we need to seek freedom with. Let us be in vigil together.
Beloveds, lighting this chalice may feel difficult today. This symbol of justice, known to be a light of hope for the marginalized, a message of sanctuary for the oppressed, a flame that feels lost or diminished somehow. How do we rekindle this fire of compassion? How do we rekindle this fire of mercy? A famous verse within the Quran tells us that with hardship comes ease. With hardship comes ease. We welcome the ease, O God of justice. We welcome the ease, O Spirit of love. We welcome the ease and rekindle this flame from our tears, our quiet suffering, from our collective prayers for those who cry for freedom. We welcome the ease and rekindle this flame on behalf of those who feel abandoned and betrayed. We welcome the ease and rekindle this flame for all of the children who ask, why can we not live in peace as other children do? May lighting this chalice today, no matter how difficult it may feel, help us to rekindle compassion and mercy within the deep crevices of our hearts, so that we can once again bring justice and hope to a world struggling to find its humanity, struggling to find its soul. With those words, we light our beloved Unitarian Universalist chalice today.
Thank you for that beat that I feel deep in my soul, in my heart. It travels through my chest and into my legs and out my toes into the ground, rooting me to the earth, rooting me to the connection that we all share, whether we acknowledge it or not. This vigil, this time and space, we're inviting you to name the people, whether known or unknown, that need that connection, need to know that we are present, that we are witnessing. They are not alone. They are not unseen. There is no greater erasure than to die unknown, than to be struggling, thinking that you are by yourself. Our faith calls us to know each other, to be known ourselves, but also to know and witness. Today I got a text from my children. I call them my children. They're 22 now, saying, "Mama, did you know the students in Vermont, one of those students is our classmate?" And I know in reaching out to me, they were trying to make sense of this. They were trying to make sense of a hatred that they've known their entire lives. They know the hatred. They've experienced the hatred. But to have it so near, so close, brings it all into that deep, dark place. And I said to them, yes, it is close, but it has always been close. Even across the Atlantic, even across the miles, it has always been close. Oppressed people there, quote unquote, there are here. It is in our souls. We are diminished. We are diminished collectively. And so I say the names of the students in Vermont who were targeted. I say the names of the students in Vermont who are our own brothers, our own sons, our own nephews, our own uncles, our own fathers. We are diminished beloveds. Hisham Awatani, he is my son's friend. Kinan Abdahamid, Haverford College, the brother college to my own Bryn Mawr alum. Tashin Ahmed from Trinity College. All of those colleges, students, faculty, we need them to survive. We need them to thrive. And the families of these beloveds, we need them to survive. We need them to thrive because we are all diminished. In these days that come, we need to open our hearts. We need to recognize that the other is just a mirror of ourselves. And then we need to act. It is not just enough to witness. We need to recognize what it is that we are able to do, what are our resources, who are our people to gather, what is ours to do, and then do it. Beloveds, this is the way. This is the vigil. And then we act. I light this flame for those students and their families. Alice.
I light this candle. Baba, what we call our fathers, what our fathers call us endearingly. At the store, Baba has always been the best to shop with. What do you want, Baba? Put it in the cart, Habibti. They are strong, but they are also wrapped around their children's fingers. I think of all the tiny fingers. I think about the string that will always be tethered between a Baba and his babies. The babies that they've kissed the cheeks of for a final time. I think of all the men barefoot, barehanded, digging through rubble to free their friend, neighbor, child, sibling, pet. The men that carry the injured and deceased through the ash and dust-covered roads that used to be, looking for help, looking for structures of what used to be, what could have been. I close my eyes and see them embrace one another, affection not withheld to console each other. I think of their hearts. I think how they have never known pure peace in their lives, but now how it has further spiraled into a hell on earth. I think of the little boy cradling his cat, never dreaming of leaving them behind. His sweet face. Will he live to be the future generation? Will he understand the depths of this trauma? Will Mama or Baba be there to hold him? Will the world see him as a threat for his mere existence? Or have we turned a corner in our realities in seeing our interconnected web? I close my eyes and picture the men smiling, laughing together, hugging, finding light in otherwise horrific experience. I think how many people probably don't understand joy is resistance. Existence is resistance. I light a candle for them. I light a candle for the exhaustion every living creature carries in Gaza and the West Bank. A candle for every heart that beats for Palestine as it was. I light a candle for the way the world could have been for them. I light a candle for the laughter without the sounds of bombs, guns, and bulldozers. I light a candle for the generations that could have grown together in love and song. I light a candle of hope that our movement, this collective global movement of opening eyes and hearts, will be the movement that changes it all, in hopes that those who control will see the only real way forward is in peace, not pieces. 75 years and more, it always could have been, should have been, peace, not pieces.
I light a candle today for our members of Drum and our members of our Unitarian Universalist family, our siblings who are in diaspora, who are still connected and directly affected by things that are happening, but who aren't there, who may feel the heavy grief and pain of the violence, but also feel the fear and the guilt of surviving here, of that liminal space that we share when we're in the borderlands, when we're not quite. In Spanish, we say ni de aquí ni de allá. And I know that I feel that pain of our brothers and sisters, our siblings, they and them and he and she and all who still feel that pain but are not there. And I lift them up and I light this candle for them in the hopes that they feel seen and that their connections to their homeland are strengthened and that they can offer support for themselves, for each other, and for their family in Palestine. For this, I light my candle.
from the chat. We light the candle. We light the flame for the end of this toxic dehumanization of our communities against Semitic Palestinians, Arabs, and Muslims. Lighting a candle, hoping for the end of this racism, Islamophobia, killing of family in Gaza that has kept this person's family and our communities under constant harassment, now also spilling over to the wiping out of Palestinian Christians in Gaza. Lighting a flame for kids, their families, including their kitties and pets, as well as for single adults who might not have anyone left. This person lights the chalice for the Palestinian students in their area who are their neighbors and their families. We light this flame for more commitment from UU ministers at local congregations. Oppression and peace on both sides and a permanent solution to this 100-year conflict. We light this flame for the Jewish people, for this person's people, that more turn away from deluded nationalism and embrace the oneness of humanity. We light the flame for weapons to no longer be profitable, for peace and hope and love, for the people of Palestine who are so in need of love and help and an end to this war. We light this flame for the adults who have run out of words to say to the children and to themselves. We light this flame for the 3 Palestinian men shot in Burlington last night and all their friends and family who are hoping for the safe recovery of these 3 men. And we light this flame to shed light on the hate of the shooter in hopes that hate will be blocked out by the light and that the hate will go away. We light this flame for the families of those lost and imprisoned, for the children, for they are not well, for all of us who grieve the school graveyards, for who hold our humanity through this terrible moment. We light a flame in vigil for Palestinians, for hostages awaiting freedom, for those freed and recovering, and all those in the US working for a complete ceasefire. We light a flame to light the way home for Palestinians and all people whose lands and lives have been stolen by settler colonialism, for the people whose own suffering blinds them to the suffering of others, for the beautiful people who created this vigil and are part of its so meaningful content. We light a flame for the continuation of concern and engagement in the struggle for peace, security, and human rights for all people. Because without the massive worldwide concern for the inhumanity in Gaza will not bring a change to the world that the world wants. We light the flame for a peaceful, self-governed lands for Palestinians, for free speech in the US for students and people who criticize the actions of Israel's military. We light this flame. Sorry, there's lots of chats. We are holding a lot today, my friends. We light this flame for every person who is speaking out, for the doctors and aid workers, the reporters, those in the government, those who are risking their lives to report on what is happening in Gaza. We light this flame for all who refuse to accept supremacy as an acceptable practice, who have the courage to imagine a different future. We light this flame for every person who has died or been hurt or who is mourning the loss of beloveds in the midst of this useless violence. We light this candle for continued strength. For the Palestinian residents of Gaza who were traveling abroad when the bombing of Gaza began, their homes destroyed and families killed, or living as homeless refugees struggling to survive. For the Israelis and Palestinians out of harm's way who feel helpless or hopeless, may their efforts to speak for peace resonate in the hearts of the powerful who will hear and act for the sake of the children. For all that we are holding in this space, in the chat, and in our hearts today, we light this flame.
As we begin to move toward the end of our time together, I offer a prayer for Palestine written by a colleague. I had no words today. We weep, we scream, we listen, we pray. We pour into the streets and make phone calls. We boycott, we divest. Yet it does not feel like enough as people are being turned to rubble. As the blood of children seeps into the soil, and even the stones cry out. We pause to breathe. We choose quiet to tend to one another so we can hear the still small voices, so we can hear your rustling amidst all the noise. O Spirit who pours over all of us, who moves in the wind and rests on the rubble, Spirit who never abandons us in our tears, who strengthens our cries and joins in the drumbeat on the streets. Spirit who knows each bird in Gaza and dances through those beloved streets and has played in the hearts of each child. We come to you now, begging, pleading, wailing for the end of genocide, the end of apartheid, the end of bombings, the end of our children being murdered, and to know deep and lasting healing. Rest upon us now as we pour out our rage and grief and exhaustion and confusion and fears. Summon our courage, our fierce love, our reliance on our community, and our imaginations. May there be a turning in each of us and in the world. May the fire of justice rise from the belly of the earth. May the bombing cease. May liberation come now and always. Amen.
Today we hold the burdens of those suffering. We recognize the relief of those returning to their loved ones for whatever little time the occupation allows. We recognize the countless hate crimes occurring around the world and the 3 Palestinian American students shot in Burlington, Vermont, for no other reason than who they are. We recognize the people of Gaza and the incomprehensible suffering which is endured every day, every night, seemingly without end. My consciousness often drifts between resounding idealism and debilitating nihilism. These days, it seems as though the devil on my shoulder is winning most battles. Though it is times like these, when we come together in union, when we come together to mourn, that I am reminded not to go gently into the night, but to rage against the dying of light. The Welsh poet Dylan Thomas. It is when we are together that our hands reach out and we pull each other out of the void. We pull each other out of feelings of guilt, sorrow, despair, horror, helplessness, and outrage. We are important, and we are stronger together. So lift each other up, hold each other's burdens, check on each other, shed tears with one another, exhale laughter when it permits. Do not let each other go gently into the night. In this moment, I am reminded of a poem by Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish. She says, "When are we going to meet?" I say, "After a year and a war." She says, "When does the war end?" I say, "The time we meet."